the abuse she endured during her volatile marriage to boxer Mike Tyson. She penned an essay for Time.com called Why I Stayed, and she's here this morning to talk about it. Robin, good morning, and thank you for coming. You talked about in the essay that this is a watershed moment for people like yourself who have been in domestic violence situations and really for the country. Why do you think that is?
Because we can see it. We've got this video, and I know that it's very difficult. It's appalling, it's heart-wrenching, it's shocking, but we get to see in many respects what's gone on behind closed doors. We can't pretend that it's not happening. And I think so much of what I've talked about in my life, or what I've heard women talk about the past 20 years when I've talked to them, one of the things, it's hard to be believed. Right. Being believed is an issue.
You told me last night that this is still a very emotional issue for you. Even coming here to talk about you have to relive it.
Yes. It's amazing because the past kind of becomes very much your present. I feel attached to her in many respects, and I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for her, but I understand her. But
Are you talking about Janae?
Yes, but I'd like to think in many respects I've been a voice for a lot of women. I'd like to think there's a certain purpose. But even my talking with you, part of me didn't want to get involved in this conversation, quite honestly, and it took my 20-year-old son.
You told me that your son encouraged you, you've got to get out there. Yeah. What do you tell your boys? You're raising young men about violence, about women, about why women stay, about why they leave.
Well, I think I really wanted to give the world two healthy and happy and whole husbands and fathers, and I think there's something being a gentleman, and a man is gentle. My younger son, I try to keep a little bit from him. My older son is very involved in the conversation. He's very involved in social media. And I think in many respects, because of social media, this conversation will never be the same. You can't hide it so much anymore. I think of my experiences, if it had been on tape, those elevators being dragged in the hallway, if that had been on tape, then it's a different conversation all of a sudden.
We should say that we did approach Mike Tyson to see if he wanted to comment, and he did not. Do you think it would have been different for you had the video been there and had we seen what you were trying to say?
Absolutely, because I think it's hard for people to wrap their minds around this. I think it's hard to be the woman and wrap your mind around this happening. I think it's hard to be a person listening to somebody. You don't want this to be true.
Are you surprised when you hear a woman like we saw in the news earlier this morning saying, hey, she hit him first, she deserves it?
I'm not surprised because I've heard it. I've heard, what have you done? What did you say to him? Stop saying that. Why is it that the victimizer becomes the victim? Why is it that we want to protect these men? What is it about our society? What is it about us as women that feels the need to protect them?
Well, you wrote yourself about saying after it happened, you went from don't talk to me again to wanting to protect him.
I think that we talked about it being complicated.
Yes.
That sense of, first of all, the embarrassment that one feels. You feel embarrassed with yourself, first and foremost. It's very difficult to share. And a strange thing happens. You want to then start protecting the person and consoling the person that really you're in fear of. It's a strange inner turmoil. But I have to say this, we can't allow this to happen. This cannot be acceptable in any way. And this is more than a male-female issue. This really becomes a human rights issue. Somebody said he would have gotten a pass, even if we hadn't seen the second part of the video.
Do you understand why Janae stayed?
I do. I do. Look, for me, it was hard for me to say this happened to me. In many respects, it was terrible that I said it. You're not supposed to tell.
Yeah.
So I think that she's got a lot of things that she's dealing with. You want to protect your man. You want to stand by it.
Real quick, I have two daughters, and I told my daughter last night I was going to interview you, and she said, what are the signs? What did you miss? What did you avoid? What can young women learn?
The thing that I avoided, I thought certain things it was love. I thought being picked up and put in the car, or you're coming with me tonight, or I thought that was actually love. Having somebody in my hotel room and jumping out of the closet and going, whoa, you must really love. You feel the warning signs deep inside in your gut, and you've got to follow that. But Maria, I have to say wholeheartedly, in 2014, this conversation has become a different conversation because of that video. However difficult it is for this poor woman, she will help myself and other a woman just be believed that this is indeed possible, that this does happen to women.
Do you think this will just be like so many stories, we're talking about it this week, but next week it'll be forgotten?
This is what I've always felt. I've always felt that when men get involved in this conversation, not just women, but when men are involved, and when men say, this cannot happen, it's not cool, we're not accepting it. And I think that because it happened in this way, with football, this manly thing, standing up and saying, no way, this ain't right, it stops here. It is a game changer for us all.
And you're going to continue talking about this, trying to explain it, trying to help other women.
I am, because it helps me. It helps me be understood. It helps me understand myself, and it gives purpose to a very difficult time for me.
Robin Givens.